Welcome back to Tom's Garage again. Good morning, everybody. Hoo-wee. We're going to forego the weather forecast. I bet you appreciate that. But today, pow, another Toro recycler, 22-inch, pow, with a Kohler. This is a, what engine is that? 6.75. Should be a XT675. What exactly is this engine? XT-X675. Pow. Customer brought it to me. Won't crank. Well, she said it'd crank and die. So the first question I always ask, when's the last time you used it? Has it been sitting for any length of time? A month? A few months? She said, well, yeah, I haven't used it in a few months. So that tells me it's probably going to be a fuel problem. I can tell it's got very little use on this mower. Blade looks good, everything looks good. You know, that goes along with, tillers. How often does a person use a tiller? How often does a person use a generator? How often does a person use the pressure washer? Probably 90% of the things I do out here in the garage is fuel related. I might change a belt or two here and there, but in this video it's going to be very simple. We're going to diagnose the issue. Is it a fuel problem? How do you know? We got the first clue. It's been sitting. Well, let's just pop the air filter off. The easiest, fastest way to tell if it's a fuel problem is just to squirt some carb cleaner or tilt it backwards and dribble some gasoline down inside the carburetor. And if it fires and dies, it's a fuel problem. You got to have spark, you got to have fuel, and you got to have compression. If it fires and dies when you spray it, you know you got spark, you know you got compression, it'll run. But it dies because of the fuel problem. So I'm going to take my little clamp and crank that coil back. Pull it up a little bit. I don't like cranking stuff on the table, but we'll make an exception. See, I got the little bell handle clamped right there. First thing I'm going to do is just see if it, well, first thing I'm going to do is check the oil. Always check your oil. Check the oil in there, Roy. We got oil in this full, and this very, very clean. Can't even see it on my finger. All right. Alrighty. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna see if it cranks. I could tell by looking at it, the choke is closed, so the choke is working. Let me get around here to it. Give it a few pulls. Yeah. No cranky. So I'm gonna take this straw, stick it right past the choke flap, give it a squirt, and now we'll pull it and see if it cranks and dies. Hey-ya! Well, this is going to be a fuel problem. We know it's getting fire because it cranked. We know it's getting compression because it cranked. We give it fuel and it cranked. So we're going to do a simple carburetor cleaning video. People don't realize when you put fresh fuel in it, that carburetor bowl. I'll show you. Oh, people don't understand that this carburetor, this is just a basic little carburetor. That bowl right there sits full of fuel. This goes bad. Even though you put fresh fuel in it, you put it on top of that. Well, I just filled it up with fresh fuel. Well, now I got to drain the tank. I waste all that fuel you put in it. Because who knows what was in that fuel tank too. So let's grab a tool and pull that carburetor off. Alrighty, I'm going to lower this camera down just a little bit. Give you a better angle. Give you a better angle of what I'm doing. Shed some light on this subject. Boom. It's the world's strongest magnet. Okay. Okay. Pull the crankcase vent hose off. All right, let's get that fuel line taken up. I'll tell you, this mower is really, really nice. I bet it ain't got a couple of uses on it. Okay, let's take the throttle linkage off. Return spring. Take that off. We are more than likely going to have to take this cover off because we got to get that choke doohickey off. Let's do that. Let's hope we get lucky. Let me raise the camera a little bit. I'm going to pull these three, get this cover off so we can get to that thermal actuator on the muffler and get this off. Otherwise, we're going to be fighting it. Yep, so you can't really move it. So let's do that. Let me get my hairy elbow out of the way. Wow, can you believe I got those three nuts off without that whole stud pulling out? Boy, it's going to be an awesome day. Get that little nut. Get that little nut. See a little stud? Make sure you don't lose these things. Go ahead and take them off and put them in a safe place. We got to get these two nuts off. That way we can just pick up this whole thing right here. Very simple. Very simpler. You'll probably watch me do this 100 times. Swing it around. Swing it up. Pow. Just like that. Okay, now the carburetor is ours. Try to get that gasket off there without hurting it. What's the chances of that? Oh yeah. Just work it just a little bit, be easy with it. There we go. We'll stick that back on there. Well, there we go. We got this gasket still on there. It's all right though, it can stay unless it comes off very easily. I don't know what that crash was. Sound like somebody were emptying the dumpster. There we go. Very gentle. Don't pull it off, let it fall off on its own. There we go. Okay, got us a carburetor. Let's get a favorite little carburetor training pans. It's going to be another one of those videos. Another one of those videos. Okay. Grab my trusty little pipe. I'm going to drain the fuel tank. And that fuel tank is near full. Let that kind of sit there. Oop, don't fall off now. Open the lid, let it pour a little faster, let it get some air. And we're gonna let that just sit there and drain. Yep. How much fuel do we have in there? It's about full. I see a little bit of debris floating around in there. We're gonna clean that. Okay. Now let's go over here. I don't want to turn my back on that. It'll overflow your bucket. Where's my carburetor? What did I do with my carburetor cleaner? There it is. Just rinse it off real good so we don't contaminate it when we take it apart. That water was already in there, by the way. I just got done draining my air compressor tank. It filled that pan about 3/4 of the way up in about a month. Drain those compressors. Drain your compressors. Aerial compressor. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my goodness gracious, look at that. Ugh. My Lord, it looks like Gatorade. And I see a little bit of water in it. Wow. That is nasty. That's all it was, just had some stale fuel from sitting. Pull the main jet and the emulsion tube out, clean them. There we go. Pull out your secondary idle circuit. Little jet. Pop that out. Make sure you don't hurt the little O-ring on it. It's got an O-ring right there. You'll see the nastiness come out of there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Now we'll take the main jet in the emulsion tube. Find my little piece of wire I'm so fond of. Go back through there with it. Emulsion tube. Go through the holes. Go through every hole. Pow, pow, pow. 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 And the little jet here, right down the throat. There it is. Pow, pow. That's all you got to do. Make sure that's open. Make sure that's open. Make sure that's open. When I was trained, not strained, but trained, I was trained to use a wire to go through them. You have to spray them, and you have to blow air through them. Every time. All three things. Because if you just squirt something through it or you just poke something through it, that's not complete. You got to do all three things. Okay, so now we'll just put it back together. Put it back together. Make sure that goes like that and all the way down. This was all the way through. You can see about how far it was sticking out, and you can see how far right there it was in. So we'll just screw that back in like that. We'll put it back about where it was. And it was about right there. And we'll put the tube back in. Put the main jet back in. Not too tight. Put this back on. Put your float pin back in it. Just like that. Give the bowl a little rinse. It looks pretty clean. Give it a puff. Try not to disturb that gasket right there, because sometimes it can swell if it gets carb cleaner or gasoline on it. Nice. Went right back in its little groove. Perfect. Perfectly perfect. There we go. Oh, I didn't. See, I turned my back on this gas can, right? This gas tank right here. And it's finished filling. Or, yeah, draining. Okay. There's a little bit left in the bottom. Little tiny tad, little bitty bit. See that little area right there where that pickup tube is coming out, that little screen? That's designed to sit below that pickup in case you get a little water or trash or something in it, it won't pick it up. So we'll take our little turkey baster and we'll stick it in there and slurp out what's left. Okay. Okay. Looks pretty clean, pretty dry. Looks pretty good. That screen is clean. Get rid of that. Put the carburetor back on, the old carburetor. Boom. And we'll put the throttle linkage back on there. I can find the hole. There we go. Make sure don't get that spring wrapped around that shaft right there. Just kind of make sure it's going down beside it. Put the fuel line back on. Put the little clamper back on. Push that down. Put this gasket back on there. Okay. Now we'll put the thermal actuator back on there. Just like that. And we'll put the nuts back on that. I'm gonna go ahead and put fuel back in it. Let that bowl be filling while we're putting it back together. Make sure it ain't got no leaks. Hey-ya! Okay, let that be filtering up. Filtering up. All right, got that on there, got that and that and that. Got fuel in it. Put the cap back on it. Get my hairy elbow out of your way. But these three little, I don't know what you'd call these, standoffs. It's what the nut will tighten against to keep from crushing the starter and housing. Just spacers, standoffers, whatever you want to call them. Make sure that goes all the way down. All the way down. Pull this over. All the way down. Put your three little nuts back on. Not very tight. Okay, put your cover back on. Don't bind up or kink any of the linkages. Just a little snap. Get this out of the way. It looks pretty clean. Nope, I see a couple little bitty drops of water on the bottom of that, so we'll dispose of this. I usually pour gas like that in my big mower over there. That thing will eat anything. You don't care if it's got water or whatever in it. All right, put your crankcase vent tube back on. All right, that bowl should be full by now. We're gonna fire it up. Make sure the choke is working, everything looks good, everything's free, nothing's bound. Let's see what we got. Taking bets, how many pulls? Hey-ya! That's all it was, a little bit of stale fuel in the bowl. That's why I guess if you're gonna let something sit like that, run it completely out of gas till it just dies, but you're still gonna have a very, very little bit in that bowl. These carburetors come with a drain plug without taking the main bolt off to drain it. Let me show you. Right there. You can take that screw out and drain the bowl. Drain that bowl. Run it out of gas, then drain that bowl, and it'll be all right. Whew. Well, that was a simple, quickie little video. I don't even have to edit this one. Straight to YouTube. Well, thanks for watching another Tummy video, boys and girls. I hope y'all have a good one. Love y'all. Y'all be good. And we will catch y'all on the next one, man. Love y'all.